listeners. Welcome to Beyond Limits this afternoon. And today we have a very special guest, the legendary Mr. Sigler Jack. That is the personality, that is way I could describe you. I mean to say because you make so much contribution over the many years as an educator and um, sports enthusiast and judge and all kind of thing. I mean, that is person, that is this kind of way I could describe you. So welcome, Mr. Sigler Jack, to the show.
Thank you very much, Roland. It's my
Mm-hmm.
pleasure being here. As a matter of fact, when I was told about your program
Mm-hmm.
and I had the privilege to listening to it, I didn't know that such a program existed here.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I was recommended by someone that we both very familiar with
Yes, yes, yes,
for
yes.
the interview, and asked me if I would accept it and all that and all this thing. And I agreed, and I'm happy to be here to
Yes,
talk
well, I
with
just want
you.
to tell you thanks very much because for a man of your status, I mean, for the time that I've spoken to you, probably on at least two occasions, when I spoke to you at length, probably about an whole hour, I mean, you were so down to it, and I really, really appreciate you accepting being here this morning to be on to grace this program with your presence.
Thank you again for inviting me.
Yes, well, Mr. Sigler Jack, your name is synonymous with education, sports, and culture. Now, can you give us a little background of yourself? For sure, everybody would like to know who is Sigler Jack.
Right. Sigler Jack, I prefer to refer to myself mainly as an educator because that is where I had my grounding. That is where I built the platform of my life that took me to many other places. And I started off as an educator, being a product of Jonas Donaldson Technical Institute. I went out in the industry to work. As a matter of fact, my skills were diverse in technical education. I am one of those persons who got into what everybody would call technology now. Then we refer to as technical education back then. Somehow I was drawn to that. Don't ask me how, don't ask me why. I was just drawn to it because at the time what I saw it offered. Those were the days when everybody wanted to be a policeman, you want to be a fireman. I never had any of those things in my head. I didn't even know what I wanted to do. However, after being a success at John Donaldson, where I eventually pursued the General Draftsmanship Technician program, in between that, I would have done a number of disciplines in tech work education, including electrical, auto, woodwork, machine shop, and a bit of electronics and that type of thing. There was so much scope and things to go, even plumbing. And I had some good advisors. Let me call them mentors. I had mentors like Dr. Norbert Masso. You would know Norbert Masso, who used to be, he died a couple of years ago. He used to be the head of the EBC.
All right.
Right. And he died not too long after he left there. He was, I would say, one of my main mentors. And there was another gentleman, Cecil Celestine, he was an old, tranquil lecturer. He played a major part in guiding me. And last but not least, another gentleman they call Mr. Edwards, Cecil Edwards from Woodbrook, a old QRC teacher. They were both woodwork teachers. They were into skills and all that sort of thing. But they had strong background in technical drawing and that type of thing. When I left there, I went to work with Larry Bruce Electrical Service because I was strong on electrical. I was doing very well there as the draftsman. And one day Mr. Edwards walked into the office and told me that there's a vacancy for a technical drawing teacher at John D. I think he spent more than an hour convincing me because I was so entrenched in what I so enjoyed what I was doing. And more than that, I had an interview at T and Dick, where they have Power Gen right now. Gentleman there who was in charge of whatever department it was, they needed a draftsman there. And with my electrical background and all that, I was interviewed and actually got the job, but Mr. Liko, I had to go on a short leave and come back. And when he come back, I was supposed to pick up the job. I knew my salary, I knew everything and all that. But I remained at Larry Bruce. That is when Mr. Edwards came and he told me, you know, they would like me to come there. Spoke to me about scholarships and a whole lot of things. I never wanted to be a teacher, a lecturer, an educator. None of those things were in my head. Because I was on a more practical path, which is where I wanted to be. And Mr. Edwards stayed in that room until he was able to convince me to say yes. And I went down and I met this gentleman called Vivian Gopal was the then principal. I had known him. And they interviewed me and I went through the processes and all this sort of thing. And the rest is history. Because I went on to become a senior lecturer there. I went through all my training, different aspects of training and all that. And became a qualified teacher, trained and all this sort of thing. And I left there as a senior lecturer, where I went on to become a curriculum school supervisor, tech voc education with responsibility for general draftsmanship and technical drawing.
So look at that, you know, it is very, how to put it, it's very interesting how you know, you never set out to be a teacher. And look at, you know, something, you know, what is for you is for you. You know, that path was set for you.
Now, what I could say about that is actually when I got into this thing just engulfed me. And I realized, it didn't take me long to realize this was my calling. Because it came like second nature, like I was there before my father he retired. As a matter of fact, he left his job as a headmaster to go into personal business. So I had something around me that had to do with education, but I wanted to be a more practical person. I didn't see myself in a classroom. That is what I could tell you. And the majority of my life was education. However, my life became very diverse because I got very much into culture. In particular, Carnival. I spent 7 or 8 years on the board of the NCC with responsibility for drafting because, not drafting, sorry, but construction. Because a large aspect of draftsmanship, you must have surveying, you must have construction in particular architectural drawing, electrical, mechanical, engineering and all those sort of things. So the general draftsmanship program in itself was very diverse. And all those areas I would have had practices in that sort of strengthened my resolve to move on. One of the things I stuck with in a very big way was the construction aspect. I had the privilege of working with a gentleman they called Kenny De Silva, who I'd known many years before, right? And I took charge of all the construction there and then, involvement in just about everything, like chief cook and bottle washer and all that. Carrie Festa 5, I played a role in that, where I was responsible for the putting together of what we call the entertainment center when all the artists perform. We had this thing down at the down on the docks then over around where the breakfast shed was at the time.
Yes.
And I used to provide all the entertainment for the artists down there. Everybody used to come down there to Lime. When Carrie Festa 6 came along, I was invited to be what they call the manager of the Grand Market. In other words, putting together the whole construction aspect of Carrie Festa 6.
All right. Let me just stick a pin there. We had to take a little break for the news.
Yes.
We'll come back right after this, people.
This is TTT News on Talk City 91.1 FM.
Good afternoon. We have your news update to 2 p.m. and apologies for the late start. Prime Minister Kamla Prasad Visesa is
Buried
extending
in the
Eid
rhythm,
al-Adha greetings to the
hidden
Muslim
beneath
community
the
here
soil,
in Trinidad and Tobago
sleeping
and around
within the
world.
spirit
In her
of
message,
Tobago.
the
Something awakens. On Friday, 29th May, Tobago Carnival 2026 awakens. Awaken to the sounds of mud, mass, music. From 4 p.m., the Pigeon Point Heritage Park transforms into the heartbeat of the island for the official launch of Tobago Carnival 2026. Witness the sunset ignite the sky as rhythm, color, and pure bacchanal energy consume the night. This is not just the launch. This is the awakening. Feel it, live it, be there. Tobago Carnival 2026. Mud, mass, music.
Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago and the world. I'm Vermala Balkaran. Welcome to Trinidad and Tobago today. Let's take a look at what's trending this morning.
Every morning in Trinidad and Tobago, a new conversation begins. And right here, we take that conversation further, speaking with the stakeholders and voices behind the stories. From news and lifestyle to culture, health and entertainment, we bring you the topics that matter most as you start your day. Join us weekdays, Monday to Friday at 6 a.m. Watch on TTT or join the conversation from anywhere on your smart device at TNT Today Show, Trinidad and Tobago Today, exclusively on TTT.
Buried in the rhythm, hidden beneath the soil, sleeping within the spirit of Tobago. Something awakens. On Friday, 29th May, Tobago Carnival 2026 awakens. Awaken to the sounds of mud, mass, music. From 4 p.m., the Pigeon Point Heritage Park transforms into the heartbeat of the island for the official launch of Tobago Carnival 2026. Witness the sunset, ignite the sky as rhythm, color, and pure bacchanal energy consume the night. This is not just the launch. This is the awakening. Feel it, live it, be there. Tobago Carnival 2026. Mud, mass, music.
Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago and the world. I'm Ramala Balkaran. Welcome to Trinidad and Tobago today. Let's take a look at what's trending this morning.
Every morning in Trinidad and Tobago, a new conversation begins. And right here, we take that conversation further, speaking with the stakeholders and voices behind the stories. From news and lifestyle to culture, health and entertainment, we bring you the topics that matter most as you start your day. Join us weekdays, Monday to Friday at 6 a.m. Watch on TTT or join the conversation from anywhere on your smart device at TNT Today Show, Trinidad and Tobago Today, exclusively on TTT.
And today we are just lucky to have chatting with us here Mr. Sigler Jack. Mr. Sigler Jack has worn many hats over many decades. And just to give you an idea as to the status that the man holds in this country, he is actually the former chairman of the Diego Martin Regional Corporation, former lecturer of John D. Technical Institute, also a lecturer coordinator of MIC IT, which is also a technical institute, Mr. Sigler Jack, also a board member of the NCC. So he has been deeply involved in the carnival issues and all the issues surrounding carnival. Also a judge, not only in Trinidad and Tobago, but he has also judged carnival events in other Caribbean countries. Am I correct?
That's right, that's correct.
And board member too of board coordinator of MIC, coordinator of the National Training Agency. So we'll get into all of that, what it involves and what it entails and all these kind of things. Just before we took the break, Mr. Sigler Jack, I want to remind you, you were speaking about the Curry Festa.
Yes.
I think somewhere down by the Breakfast Club or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you continue, we'll listen.
Okay, that was Curry Festa 5. I was the manager of that entertainment center, which was down where the breakfast is right now. That's where the artists used to come after shows and so on, after they perform at the Savannah and so on. And we used to have a little session down there where they meet and greet and all that sort of thing. I was responsible for the management of that. However, as I was saying before, for Curry Festa 6, I was promoted to the position of manager of the Grand Market. That was the main event center, which was at the Savannah. I had to work with the architects, the artists, and all that in doing the whole layout of the Curry Festa space. And that was a beautiful exercise for me. In between all of that, I was a lecturer at John Donaldson Institute. And later on, when I became a curriculum school supervisor, they used to apply to the ministry to have me seconded to Carnival to do a number of things. But the main one was Curry Festa 6. Matter of fact, I think I was seconded for about nearly 6 months from my regular job to handle Curry Festa affairs. That was a big experience to me. And it came off with huge success. I continued to work in those things. I then was invited to become a board member of the NCC, where I was responsible for all construction. Again, I did my best there. Meaning, if I figure to myself I do not have what it takes to do a job, I will tell you no. if I think I can take the job and it's something that I could fit into or can do, I would also come in and give it 100%. Failure was never an option for me. Never. And once I commit myself to do something, I will go all out. All these projects were successful. And let me just say this. A lot of people may feel a lot of these things have to do with whatever government or party you're associated with. It was never really that with me, you know. I saw it as national service because I worked for all the different governments that were in power. As a matter of fact, when the UNC got into power under Mr. Pandey, when Roy Augustus was the chairman of the NCC, I know him from way back. We know each other in carnival, cultural activities, and that sort of thing. I was shocked and survived when I heard he became chairman of the NCC. He called me about 6:15 in the morning. That probably was the day after his appointment. And asked me to come back. He wants me to be the chairman of the operations committee of Carnival. And operations committee then mean you are chief cook and bottle washer for the running of the Carnival. I had to deal with TTT, I had to deal with all the radio stations, find accommodations for them, make sure all the facilities are in order.
Yes.
And I told Roy, no problem. The rest is history.
Roy Augustus, was he the, correct me if I'm wrong, but was he the principal of Rosary Boys?
That's the man.
Yeah,
That's the man, and one of the most down-to-earth people you would ever meet.
I remember the name, I remember the person.
Very good in the culture too, as a manager. And I worked under people like them, and I did my best, regardless of which government was in office. You called me to work, I saw it as national service.
Now, you mentioned construction. Now, one of the things that has always interested me, right, and I want to ask that question. Now, every year, they put up the grandstand and take down the grandstand.
The North Stand.
North Stand, sorry,
Yes.
correct. Now, I also wonder why they don't just leave it up.
Now, because, I mean, a lot of people tend to forget this. That area where that facility is put down, that is used forever. Not see how long we have independence now. Right? As long as that was our official parade ground. Right? And as such, the army and the military in general, they commandeer that space to conduct their independence parade activity. I know at one time they were thinking about looking for another space, but apparently that one is the most convenient. Added to which it's already in the public psyche, that is our parade ground. And they keep putting it up and taking it down. I remember being part of an exercise under a past government. They were looking to put something together where they could have held all these activities in that particular space where you don't have to put up and take down stuff. I don't know if you familiar with Brazil's samba drone.
Yes,
Right.
I know what you're talking about. Because
Right.
under a particular administration, the prime minister at that time had intention of building a particular structure in the savannah
where you could accommodate
everything,
everything.
all inclusive thing. I
that
remember.
did not materialize.
Yes, it did not materialize. I remember.
Right? And so we have to go back to putting up and taking down and that sort of thing. Now I saw the final drawings. I think it was a gentleman architect by the name of Franceschi had or somebody, I think that was his name, had put together something, and we looked at it. As a matter of fact, there was a nice perspective drawing set up around the savannah in the vicinity of the grandstand area when you're driving around to see what this thing was going to look like. Probably people forget about that. And that government went out of office, and that program died. What happened is that the then Minister of Culture decided to just replicate what was there before, because we are taking down the facility. That is something that I participated because I was in charge of all the construction there. And I was given the job to take down the grandstand, which hurt me,
Yes.
right? And I also had the job, I'm being very blunt here, to disfigure the Jean Pierre complex, to have mass down there. That hurt me a lot.
Yes.
What happened to facilitate that carnival? I had to put together something, right, to have carnival in the savannah or around the savannah without a grandstand, because the dead Prime Minister really didn't want to wait until after carnival to do it. When Patrick Arnold, myself, and another fellow they called Junior English,
Patrick Arnold was
Pan
Pan
Trinbago boss
Trinbago.
at the time.
Yes, I remember that.
And I told them about this idea. We got together and we decided to still have the panorama at the savannah. And that is how the greens materialize, you know.
Yeah.
I did all use my personal skills, no cost to the NCC or anybody government, and I did all the drawings to bring that about. And the greens came about, and the pan never went to Jean Pierre Company, because Patrick said, I am not going down there with my pan. Down there too narrow, the place too small. We agreed on that.
Because I remember after Patrick Arnold, concerning the Greens, I remember you had this fella, I think was Kit something, his name.
Oh, yes. Bayer. But no.
No, not
And
Bayer,
Bayer
Kit
was a vice president, was Patrick vice president.
I think it was
Kid
something.
Diaz.
Kid Diaz,
Kid Diaz.
correct. Because I used to listen to him on the radio a lot at that time. He had a
He's
radio
still on
program.
radio.
You still on radio?
Yeah,
All right.
on evening, Saturday evening, you have a pan show
Yes.
on I-95.
All right, yeah, but I wasn't even aware that show was still on.
Yeah.
But I used to listen to him sometimes, a lot of the time. And I remember he used to be talking about the Greens and that kind of thing. So, now that you're mentioning the Greens.
That's how it got
You know,
started.
So you,
Myself,
maybe you were
Patrick,
involved with a lot
and
of
Junior
things.
English. We walked the space. We looked at where we're going to set up the stands. As a matter of fact, what we used, remember, there was a time along the drag, as we call it, we used to have some steel stands going on there.
Yes, I
All that
remember that.
material was in a warehouse. And we used that material and we built up a main stand, right? And we set up the greens where people could lime and all this sort of thing. But that area could have accommodated a certain amount of patrons, but mainly for the judges. And that went on for a while until they rebuilt the grandstand in Savannah. I also had to set up a facility for the judging of mass. And that was done directly opposite Memorial Park. I know a lot of people tend to forget these things. We had some stands there where the judging was
remember
taking
that.
place going on around the savannah. All those drawings, I did those drawings myself. No cost to the NCC. No cost to the NCC. I was on the board, and it was just a pleasure for me to do that. And at the time, money in NCC always scarce. We had no money to pay architects to do this and to do that and to do the other. And at the end of the preparations, or the physical preparations, I, as the commissioner responsible for all the operations and all the thing had to make a presentation to the Minister of National Security, along with the police, the army, the fire service, and all those personnel who are involved with the running and the management of Carnival. Along with the minister, we all appear in an office, and I would have to prepare a presentation for them. I also prepared the international presentation where the press, we all met at Cascadia. And then Kennedy Silver had to leave because of health reasons. And Kester Nanku was elected the chairman of the NCC.
Yeah, but Kennedy Silver at one time was also the chairman of
Yes, he was
NCC.
the chairman. He was the chairman.
Because I
at the
remember
time,
I
but
spoke to him.
Yes, he had to leave because of health reasons.
Oh, because of health reasons.
Which one? And then we had to have a new chairman, which was Kester Nanku. But I would have prepared all the plans and so on for Carnival. And believe it or not, that was on a personal basis when we went through that transition. Those are some of the better organized and planned parades and things we had in that Savannah area. Because the mass went well, the people enjoyed, there was more openness on the street,
Yeah.
and everything happened as it was supposed to happen, even with no grandstand.
So let me ask you, as a board member of NCC, what would have been some of the factors that the board members would have to consider when making preparation for Carnival?
Good. Nice question. Some people might get a little upset, the interest group might get upset with me. You see, when Carnival is over, from Ash Wednesday morning, as we used to say, Ash Wednesday soon come, the NCC comprises 9 persons, 1 representative from Tobago through House of Assembly, the 3 interest groups, that is 4, and the other 5 members were appointees of the government, I being one of them. You see that period from Ash Wednesday until about August is the best board you could find anywhere in any government organization. We agreeing on everything. We sitting on, we planning. But after Carnival, we start post-mortem exercises, bringing in all those people who participate. It used to be a public thing. And people were there, their views, and we put together a program that the board would get together and agree on going forward. Here when the bacchanal starts. You see, September, October, like after the budget, when everybody prepare their budget and they send it through the NCC, go through the ministry, and then go to the Minister of Finance, and when the allocations coming out, because not what you ask for is what you're going to get. You never get what you ask for.
Yes,
right?
yes.
And we always short. That is when the jamming start, because everybody looking at how their pie was cut and how they could make up more. And a little encroachment here and there. And the big problem used to be with the March Gras show, because you remember in the days we used to have the March Gras. Mass Pan and Calypso used to take place on Carnival Sunday night. Start at 7 o'clock and everything used to finish at 12 midnight. And you hear all the pan, 10 bars in the final, 10 kings and queens in the final, and the 10 Calypsos. And we used to finish at 12 midnight. That particular show, all the monies used to be split among the 3 interest groups. All bar none got an equal share. Then everybody got bright. Pan wanted to have their own show, which is the major success in all of this. And then the kings and queens wanted to have their own show, and the Calypso used to want to have their own show. That that is where the demise of the masquerade as we knew it, that is where it got started when everybody went their separate ways. The big success coming out of that is the Pan. The Pan show is the biggest show in our carnival, in our Pan final, all the Pan shows. Pan is the major success in that breakaway exercise. I think they need to sit again and reconstruct this whole carnival thing. Because carnival as we know it at the savannah, I don't want to use the term that it's not what it used to be.
Just because, if I might say that, now I grew up in Carnival. My father's from Woodbrook. So since I was about 2 years old, I grew up with the Baileys. I mean, George Bailey had already passed away, but Albert and Alvin, that kind of thing. So as long Carnival Monday and Tuesday, my father used to be official in the band. Because he would have been like probably 50s, late 50s at the time. And I grew up, Savannah, that kind of thing. And I remember, even up until probably the early 90s, as you would know, the North Stand used to be packed with people. Let me tell you something. If you know the North Stand back in the days, of the 80s, early 90s, that used to carry a spirit of its own. I remember before my injury, sometimes we used to go up at the back of the grandstand. And when you're looking over, let's say for the Marsh Gras or Panorama, you know the Vichamis, because we were all stars people. I'm still an all stars man. And you're looking across, man, the kind of spirit, the energy you used to see emanating from people in the North Stand was really something to behold.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Now, let me tell you why the crowds stopped coming to the savannah for the March Gras.
I'm very interested to hear that.
Remember that package I spoke about, Mass Pan and Calypso? In the final, the March Gras night? That's the grand finale. You used to come in one place to get that one package. Tickets used to sell out all the time. And then the breakaway started, and the crowds would go to where they wanted. If I like Mass, I'm going for Mass. Everybody love Pan. So the grandstand, North Stand, everywhere full. If you like Calypso, then you go to that. However, when you split them up, the different likes and likenesses of the culture split with it. So you used to get the young, the old, the not so young, everybody in one place at one time, taking in what they want to take in. Now, you can have the March Gras and you can full the grandstand. You can't. And even though you put the North Stand free, if you get 20%, you're lucky.
No, my view, I remember many years ago, and I didn't like that. They tend to they start changing the people who were managing, they bring in new managers, right, many years ago. And one of the things that, they just me, I could be wrong, huh?
When you say new managers, explain, man, because there are different levels of management in the place.
Right. Whoever they put in charge of the Marsh Garden.
Oh.
Good? And I remember one of the things I remember many years, I remember telling a friend that, I remember they were saying that people in North Stand or in the stands or whatever were not allowed to come with the coolers and that kind of thing. Correct me if I'm wrong, but to me, if I remember that, good. And I remember telling somebody, if I'm correct, that, that's going to kill the crowd because people in North Stand especially, they come with the coolers and all these kind of things and whatnot. Something they bring in new administrators and everybody wants to do something different. Everybody wants to leave a mark. So everybody wants to do something differently. I don't know, probably if you recall. I could be wrong, but That's one of the things I remember.
I don't want to use a strong word like wrong.
All right, all right.
There was a sort of evolution taking place. The North Stand was not always a cooler stand, you know. It was a cooler stand for pan preliminaries.
All right.
But as the different shows progressed, they start putting in chairs, like semi-final, you'll have chairs where you could make more money with seating.
All right, yes.
If you want to sit down and just relax and enjoy the pan, the mass, the calypso, or the masquerade, you go to the grandstand for every show.
Well done.
The cooler thing was really for preliminaries. Now it's just for semi-finals. And this is where you can now call it the young people stand or the party people stand, where they could just go. By the way, they're not going to listen to no pan, you know. They're going to have a good time. Well, they had to listen to the pan because they had to stop beating your head and you with them sections and all them kind of thing. I had to stop for the band to say, you can listen. But the point about it, their main object is to have a good time. This is why the prices over there are higher. And different management systems in the NCC would have allowed a number of things to evolve to accommodate the people who occupy them. As a matter of fact, Carnival before the last, they had special places. If you want to come and you rent that space, you could bring your own cook, your own chef, your own thing, and you have a good time there. But a negative came out of that. But the point about it, the NCC got some money out of it. They give you a space, you come, you could do what you want with the space. And not necessarily the space, the viewing space. These were spaces around the North Stand.
Okay, now let me ask you one question before we move on to another topic. Now, you always hear people talking about, you're the right man to be asking this question. Do you think that Carnival, the NCC, can stand on its own without government funding? Because you're hearing people saying, they're begging the government for funds, and they're begging the government for funds, and blah, 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 blah.
No, they cannot. Clearly and categorically, they cannot. How could they? That makes no sense. Remember, the NCC is an amalgamation of interest groups that highlights the high points of our culture, meaning mass pan and calypso, where we bring in people from abroad, and when they come in from abroad, they come in with foreign currency. Though that currency doesn't necessarily have to pass through the gates of the NCC, the Grand Central Queen's Park Savannah, but it goes to the hotels, it goes to all the providers. People have to find accommodation, the entertainers would make some money and all this sort of thing. So those people, when they come in with that, Carnival generates a large amount of foreign exchange. You know? But people, the way they think about it, as though everything is supposed to come through there, no, the NCC is a facilitator. If you read the Act of 1991, it clearly and categorically states NCC is a facilitator. A facilitator doesn't make money. And in other words, monies that are collected by the interest groups, those monies they must put towards the running of their personal organization. However, let us say you put in a budget, let us call in a figure, for $1 million. One interest group, let's say PAN say, look, I want $1 million. I know it's more than that. But in your gate receipts, you collected $250,000. The Minister of Finance would give you $750,000 Because that money you collect is supposed to go towards the $1 million you're asking for. That's how it works.
Understand.
And when we talking about pan, you come to about pan Trinbago, every steel band side have their own financial situations to deal with. All Stars is one of the successes in terms of the management of their affairs. They put on a whole lot of shows. Up to recently, they have things.
Yeah, they show,
and
yes,
they have good sponsors. How much your sponsors contribute to you? The band that I think is best sponsored must be Renegades in this country. You know the bands that are doing well because of their personal support. You can't put all of that into the NCC. The operative word for the NCTT is facilitator. Get the Act of 1991 and read it.
I understand. So moving on now to sports. I mean, you have played a very vital role in the secondary school football league.
From the days of colleges football.
You want to tell us about that?
Yes, well, when I became a lecturer at Johnny, because one of the things I personally used to like to play a lot of sports, my thing was mainly cricket and football, right? And I became let me put it this way. Johnny did not have a portfolio for, like, we used to call it then a sports master, right? And I took up the role. And I was responsible for the organization of netball, basketball, football, and cricket in the main. We had a little chess club thing going on too.
So John had all of that?
Yes.
All right.
As a matter of fact, the netball meetings, I used to go to the meetings.
I always do. I
I
always know John D for football. Huh?
Yeah, you know
So
them
see,
for football.
yeah,
Yeah, we
we
were
learn
in
new
everything.
things.
But in the cricket aspect of it, we had what you call then a secondary sports association, which would have involved Tiantec, Dominic Savio, and those schools that were not colleges. We had a league for cricket and football in that. And also, well, with the netball, our girls used to play with the Port of Spain League. And that was the only sport that had for girls in John D at the time.
Netball.
But the netball, but the football made the headway when we started to play in what you call the original secondary schools football league. It was headed by a fellow they called Paul Clark, was the secretary at the time. I think we had a former mayor of Port of Spain. He was the president of that league. And John D started there with Tiantec, Dominic Savio, Progressive High School, Minerva College. And that was the original. Earl Carter started there. I can't remember which school he paid for.
The goalkeeper.
The goalkeeper, that where he started in 1969. You know? And what would have happened, John D and Progressive, they were the two top schools in that league. And then I felt that, look, boy, we had to move to another level.
Because I remember Johnny was very big, you know.
Right.
I was a little boy
Huge,
attended Rosie
huge.
Boys, yes.
And I started to apply to the then colleges football league for membership. Ken Henry became, he met me there, the registrar of John Donaldson Technical Institute. I approached him to assist me in putting this thing together. Those days he used to see about Bosse youths, right? He didn't have much time for me anyway. So I took my team, I took my players, and I started to do my own thing. And every year, because if one year we win the secondary schools competition, the following year will be progressive. There was just this fight between us all the time. I said, look, I had to get out of this. I need to move to another level. And after applying about 4 years straight, I think it was 1973 or 74, I got a letter coming back to the thing that we were accepted in colleges, football league with St. Mary's College and all that sort of thing, presentation college and all this other thing. And then the rest is history. And that is where we really went to another level. At that point in time, I was chief cook, bottle washer, coach, everything, transportation man, everything. Because I used to call on people to assist me, Ken Henry. Like when we going into a big match and thing, he come and he do a little thing with the boys. And then I had Noel Brigham Gonzalez, who was a lecturer in Jordy.
Yeah, well, if
He never came forward until we got into the big intercall. That he came in. And when he came in, and when there are people around you who better than you, you step back. And you allow them to move forward. And this is where the Clausel thing came into being. Because this so-called Clausel team in Mokarapo, who had one of the best football teams ever in college football league, now secondary school football league, I voted for them to come in. And St. Augustine, I voted for them to come because we were the first to get in, because all of them was applying to get into college football league and couldn't get in it.
All right.
And there was a particular year when they could not find spaces for the number of students who were writing, well, what they call a CA now, common entrance then. They couldn't find spaces for them. And they sent a whole set of young guys underage to John Donaldson Technical Institute. And they sent the others to the comprehensive school, Clausel, and they went into the junior sec, right? No, well, they all went into the junior sec. And when they, there's a point where you have to split, right? And what would have happened? A number of those boys from the junior sec came into John D. Alan Anderson, Piru, he was one of them. He was a lawyer today, right? And those were the days of Clausel. Well, the better of the crew of the young guys from the junior sec went to Mokarapo, and John D got the rest. And Ken Henry's brother, he took over that Mokarapo team and made them into one well-oiled machinery, a team that was supposed to be feared. A lot of people in this country don't know that Clausel team did not even win an enamel cup that year. And John D was the first team to beat them.
Well, as I told you, I'll have to invite you back. I hope you're willing to come back here sometime.
Yeah, I'll come back.
Just let me know. Right, we had to end the program around this time. It was a very enjoyable, and I learned a lot of things from you today. And I just want to thank you very much for being here today. You definitely had to come back here. Probably as soon as you could, you just let me know.
Yeah, you don't give me a call these days. All I have on myself on my honest time.
Thank you very much for being here again, Mr. Sigler Jack.
Yeah, that's what happens in retirement.
Okay, folks. So just hope that you will enjoy. Tomorrow we're supposed to be having Mr. Antonio Diaz. He is one of the guys in a wheelchair from Wassa. So we'll be looking forward to that. Until then, you for the afternoon.
Thank you very much, Roland. Thank you, Mr. Jack, and enjoy the rest of